Good evening and welcome to another show after hours. If you'd like to join us as a guest, let me know and I'll send you the link. Right now it's me and Richard. Drew is actually out at the Special Olympics. Equestrian, it's the World Equestrian Center in Ocala, Florida. Victoria from our ship is competing in the state equestrian event tomorrow. They had to be there tonight for the opening ceremonies and to walk the obstacle course.
And we with Victoria well from the Chinook here on her event, and I hope she does well.
Me too. She's been competing for a couple years in this, and every year she goes to state. So he's supposed to be giving me some more pictures, and I'm going to send those pictures over to the Core Engineers News Network to post. And anybody that is doing a event, please send over to Chris your pictures from those events, because they are liking to share so that everybody gets an idea of what's going on around the fleet. One thing that this isn't worldwide, but in America, there's a lot of things with books in schools and reviewing books. One of the volunteer opportunities that I just thought of, because one of my teacher friends said she doesn't have time to catalog all of her books. So she actually had to pack up every single book or face felony charges. One of the things that you could offer to do for the schools is sit down and fill out the paperwork to submit it. So just a suggestion, hopefully some of the schools will take you up on it, because if you look at the picture that I flashed up, women in science, science and NASA books, stuff like that, they're not going to be on the ban list. As much as I hate that, and I feel it's something done by a very bad political party at one point, and I don't like it. But to eliminate a lot of these books, they have to be submitted, and I know at least 4 states right now in the U.S. that are doing this.
And definitely it's a good idea if you can help out with that particular thing, because it's something in your states. It's definitely something that is within the wheelhouse of our club in general as volunteers, but also in the idea of what we represent as people in Starfleet and what that Starfleet is supposed to represent and stand for.
And to that also, I saw some examples of what Starfleet stands for this past week in Tennessee with the Gen Z and Gen A kids. They're standing up for something they believe in and to hopefully do positive change. They don't want to lose any more of their friends and family. So please support your kids. And that's it on that. I don't want to get too much into the politics of it. I just support your kids.
Always support your kids, especially when they're trying to do good change in the community.
Last week, our ship got together, and I'm ashamed I didn't take pictures, and played a new game that we've had sitting on the shelf for 2 years, Star Trek Canta. And while learning this, there is a lot of rules in this game. And while learning it, we messed up the first game through, but we had fun doing it. And we realized what rules we were messing up on. And so next time, it's going to be a fun game because it lasted us about 2 hours for the whole game.
Yeah, it's an excellent game. Certainly, if people are picking it up, I always recommend if you search YouTube, there's a series called Tabletop with Will Wheaton. He has one with Jerry Ryan and
playing Kanta
and his stepson playing the Star Trek version of Catan. And it is excellent.
Sorry. I did say that wrong.
I was trying not to point it out.
Please change it. I'm tired. It's been a long week for me.
Yeah.
My job's air conditioning system went out, so I'm sitting overnight and the heater is blowing all night long.
That's terrible in Florida.
Oh yeah, it was about 90 degrees inside the building at night.
That's a high let me faint because I am a Canadian and 90 degrees is
well, I've
always knowing where 90 degrees sits on our scale up here in Celsius. And I know it is damn hot.
I think it's like 40 something degrees Celsius.
It's significant. I think it's somewhere in around 37 to 40, somewhere in there. But it's warm. It's very warm. Far too warm for people to do anything except lay about and drink cool drinks.
32.2.
There we go.
But I can tell you, standing still, changing the mods out in one spot, I was feeling faint. I woke up one morning and my muscles were all it felt like they were twitching from dehydration. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to take this much longer. Thank God it's Friday. But on that, it is getting hotter. So make sure that when you are out in the heat, especially with the recruiting events, bring water. We found a product called Gray Celtic Sea Salt. The minerals and all help with nerve damage. Drew can attest because he has some problems with that. We had one event where we were in 4 hours in direct sunlight. Underneath of our canopy wasn't helping because the sun was shooting straight at us.
Yeah, I hate when that happens, especially if that is also the facing you need to utilize.
Yeah, and it was 95 degrees that day.
So you don't want to put up walls anyways.
Yeah, we had the wall behind us, but there was no air anyways. Yeah, but at that particular place, we were used to being on the opposite side.
Right.
So we got put on this side. It was like, oh, this ain't good. So we came back and drank about 64 ounces of water with the Gray Celtic Sea Salt and didn't feel the effects of the dehydration afterwards. But if you add a little bit of sea salt to your water each time you're out, it does put back that nutrients and help you a lot. So that's just a suggestion for each person. It might be a little bit different, but stay hydrated. Add remember, hydration is not just water. It's also the salts and sugars that you lose as well through potassium.
I'll be perfectly honest. We cheat and, go to Costco and buy Gatorade.
You know what's funny? I am exactly 3 hours from the place that was created. The University of Florida.
It is called Gatorade.
Yep. And I'll tell you, we had, even after that was made, I think it was about the time I was in high school, 2 or 3 high school athletes where during the summer we have our spring training where they train all summer long, and the band or the football team will train for a while, then the band will go out for a week and train doing band practice out in the heat. And there was 3 or 4 athletes in Florida that one year died during practice because it was so hot.
It's terrible.
So a lot of practice rules changed after that. Like they're only limited to like an hour at a time. They have to go inside, do classroom style training and rehydrate and stuff like that. So a lot of rules have changed because of it, but I remember 3 athletes dying in 3 different schools around Florida because that year it was 90 something to 100 degrees every single day. With our humidity, it's like we're sitting under a magnifying glass during that time. So when I say please hydrate yourself, especially if you're in these full uniforms, because they're hot.
There, no doubting that.
I did say if somebody made me a scant that's big enough for my big butt, I would wear it because Florida. And then the best part was David, when he first got his CS, found out he was going to be CS, he asked if somebody could make him a Admiral scant.
Oh, okay.
Because he is in 2 of the hotter locations too. However,
yeah, but California, he normally has a breeze.
California is not as hot as Florida. I can attest to this because
doesn't he live in Hawaii though?
Half the year in California, half the year in Hawaii. 6 months each.
That's not how that's supposed to work. You're supposed to do half in Hawaii or half in California and like then live in Dakota or Minnesota or that's how that's supposed to work. You're not supposed to have, this winter here is perfectly fine, but I'm gonna go to Hawaii anyways.
So Region 9 is in Germany area, right?
Yeah. He went to. Yeah, I remember. I saw the posts that he was going.
I think that's awesome. I wish I could afford to go and just hang out.
I have a woman in the SCA. I swear she plays. She doesn't even like go to our Kingdom events anymore. It seems like she's always going to somewhere in Drachenwald. So that like the UK a lot, and then I think she's in Ireland next week. Like, I'm just like, can I have your job? I'd love to go to events and
no kidding.
Real castles and like stay in real castles. Although technically she was queen during that, but like seriously,
yeah,
easy to be jealous of people that have that ability, though. I mean, really.
Hey, at least he's going to areas and meeting with people. And I think that this is going to bring a lot of the people together where a lot of people have been feeling left out. And the one thing with the last VIC happened was a lot of the countries that were saying, hey, we want to have an IC in this area, it allowed everybody to feel like they were in an area together.
Yeah, I think VIC is definitely an improvement on like an actual physical IC, especially since there just does not seem to be any kind of will to take a physical IC anywhere that isn't in the continental United States.
It's hard, and the biggest part is there's not. You think about it, it costs a lot to get from here outside of the country. And then if you do an IC like that, you need about 200 people.
I don't doubt that is that is a thing, but the idea that you can't even have it in Canada, as an example.
Dad, I don't understand that one because we can like drive 5 miles off to the border and we're here.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously I have this, hi, I'm biased. I'm from Calgary, and we've put in multiple bids to try and have an IC here because we have we have people in our crew that are capable of doing it because they've done things like manage a convention for 7 years, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we know we can do the work. And from an international point of view, it works really well, because basically, one, all the US hubs fly here.
Right.
Like, you can go to a hub and fly direct to Calgary. You have to go to a hub, but that's because that's the way the American system works, right? But the big pluses are that a number of the other nations can fly virtually direct, depending on where they are. But we have some very big ships in some areas that can fly direct to Calgary. Yes, I know it feels a little weird that there's a direct flight from Calgary to Paris, but there is.
I think there's a direct flight from Orlando to most of them too.
Oh yeah, definitely possible. I mean, it always depends, and there's always a bit of a wrestle that we have in, or as I understand the system, and because a lot of this is history, not stuff I've personally experienced, right? But I know we've done a lot of things where it's sort of like, yeah, but it's like we can't afford a hub as a location. It's always like, no, we have to pick a city away from a hub, which isn't helping anyone.
Yeah, and
for the cost thing, right? And I get it. I get it. It's an IC. It costs money.
I don't understand Drew's statement here. What does that mean, Drew?
Yeah, sorry, I don't get it either. True.
Yes.
Sorry.
So Orlando's a hub.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
From Orlando Airport, it's about an hour and 15 minutes to where we live. Yep. However, the difference between having the convention near the airport and having it near us is the difference between $300 a night and $150 a night.
Oh, and I perfectly do understand stuff like that, but as a point of reference, being a Canadian,
but your travel is a little bit farther between places too.
Yeah, I mean, like anytime you guys pick Florida, it's basically we throw our hands up and we're out.
Well,
because it becomes past the thing of you can drive it, and it becomes that is a $1,500 to $1,700.
Oh, I'm saying with a 16-month heads up.
Oh, I get it now. Oh, right. I get it. Yeah, no. Better heads up is always better.
Now,
I don't necessarily like doing that as a solution, though, to the fact that they're expensive, because of the fact of lots can happen in 16 months, but more overhead on your depth of when it's going to be hosted is always better, no matter what event you are hosting.
Well, the thing of it is if say 2 years ahead.
Yeah.
Number one, if you're going to get a major discount from whatever venue you have.
Yep. Hopefully.
Because you're telling them we're going to be here 2 years from now. We're going to put a quarter of the deposit versus half up front.
Yeah.
So you're going to save on the deposit most of the time. And then you can set up a event savings account so that you could pay each month versus here's the lump sum.
Well, and I mean, there are lots of ways to make it work and help it out, and then how you do your tickets and that kind of thing. And then, being very careful on what you're reading and what the contractual obligations, because as I have heard in this history thing that we have definitely had, and I'll be perfectly honest, groups within my own city with various other kinds of conventions and that have had that thing of something wasn't fully understood during the convention thing, and then people took a bath on it because of that, which has closed a couple of conventions completely because they basically took a bath on an event that had some sort of attendance problem for whatever reason, or some sort of cost that was paid that was never recouped.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then you bottom it out. But
yeah, I heard about that.
Price of doing business sometimes is you take risk.
Right now, I know Drew's working on getting people together for the Region 2 Summit for next year.
Yeah.
We're trying to get some low-cost options because the other thing is where we're located is between two hubs.
Right. Okay.
So we have Orlando and Tampa.
Yeah.
They're both international hubs.
Yeah.
And they're about an hour and 15 minutes from either side.
Well,
and if you're staying here and you decide to make it a week, you're an hour from Disney or an hour from Busch Gardens.
Yeah, no, well, that's fair.
The nice thing about our location is it is a central point.
Well, and I mean, it's.
I know Tallahassee's had the bid for the international conference for a couple times, and I'm like, I've been there.
But
I've seen the dick that runs the state. No, there's not enough up there unless you're going to a football game.
Yeah, well, and I'll be perfectly honest, it's very hard to adjudicate exactly what necessarily is a draw and because obviously at the end of the day, when the committee goes and makes those decisions for a physical IC, they take a lot of stuff into account, including, and I'll be perfectly blunt, we are an organization that is not so strongly vetted that we cannot say that personal preference is not part of that conversation, regardless of how much we'd like to pretend it isn't.
Yeah.
I would be as guilty of it if I was on that committee as anyone else. So I'm not saying anything earth-shattering, I believe. It would be nice to do something that was technically at least international, where you came to Canada once. And it'd be nice to actually do something international, but I know that that's not going to be a big that's a lot harder for a lot more people.
Yeah, and
I mean, yeah, sure. If I can afford it, send me to Dublin, send me to Paris.
That's the whole thing. I would love to go and spend
if I could,
a month in UK.
I'll hang out with the Versailles people. I'll hang out with the thing that, or the ship that everybody knows who I mean. Starts with C, but I am not going to butcher that Celtic pronunciation like that because it's immensely unfair.
But like you said, if I afford it, I'd go everywhere, and I couldn't. Just like you can't afford to come down here, I can't afford to go up there.
Perfectly fair.
But okay, so if we could get 200 people that could. That would be have the on-site in Calgary or a different province, whoever, or even.
Do we have a ship in Colorado?
Really?
Do we? I don't know. I'm asking a legitimate question.
I had to look it up.
Colorado seemed Denver's a hub, so if you could have it in Denver. Also, Denver isn't the most expensive city in the United States of America. It's kind of central. It's probably as central as we're going to get with an American city.
The
Because
fact
that's
that
definitely a challenge.
you pulled out Colorado, I'm sitting here going, huh?
Well, yeah, because realistically, I can't go further north unless we start going like Chicago,
Colorado Springs.
Yeah, and that starts having that problem of
really. There's
Chicago is expensive.
There's Denver. There is one.
Oh, excellent.
The Tiburon.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I mean, I'm not trying to spotlight the Tiburon and go, hey, you need to host an IC. I'm just thinking of that kind of thing of if you're actually trying to find middle ground, you have a hub, Denver. You have a city that, in comparison to other large cities, is not incredibly expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, market to market. And you have a rough central location that a lot of people could drive to if flight was not a thing. It's a little bit of a haul from Calgary, but, you know, probably something that can be done.
And as long as when you look at the venue and say, hey, we're going to need one thing, where you got to have a good, strong Wi-Fi signal in the room and broadcast it out, have somebody outside of that can't go do like this and set up a stream.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely, and let's face it, if we ever, I mean, I know there are people who want to see an in-person IC again. And if we ever do have that, that is definitely going to be a component that not necessarily we've been a strong lobby before, but now there will definitely be that strong lobby of you must have a ability to do the internet.
See, I could see a regional setup where one group in North America host one group there, a group in UK host a group there, a group over in Australia, one in South America or South Africa, and one in South America if we ever fill up. I don't think
we have members there. I don't know if we have a ship there.
I don't think we have. I think that's region 18. I think it's been a while since I looked.
I know. I only know that we have members there because there was some discussion about paying or helping or creating a system to help pay their fees because of the exchange rate being.
Yeah.
For various currencies.
I think it's region 18. Mexico, Brazil, and Sao Paulo, which is in Brazil.
Okay.
Sao Paulo and the Omni Pathfinders. And then there's the one in Mexico, the Minivar.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Jose. I did that. But my thing is so each area could have a IC,
a physical component, and all of it together is an IC.
And since if we did it right, it would be a 24-hour thing where America could start and then, or Europe could actually, England could start in England, GM0. Or
yeah, if you want to do it that way, yes, you could do it that way.
And then as the day goes by, the U.S. takes over, then someplace in maybe Hawaii.
I would do it the other way, to start in Australia and go that way, like across.
Yeah,
Europe would end up in the middle, and then North America would finish.
Either way, I'm just
spitballing.
spitballing, and do it so that it's a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Start to finish. And then you would have a nonstop stream throughout the world.
Yep.
So, say each area is in charge of 6 hours.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I could not at all fault that
Because
as a concept of doing that and filling the time and doing the work, and then the whole thing together is the IC.
6 to 8 hours. Say 8 hours. Make it 8, 16, 24.
Yeah,
So 8 hours.
Math works now.
Yeah, I'm going, wait, because Australia area would be Australia, Asia, Hawaii.
I've honestly, I've seen the time zones and they're a right mess, actually.
Yeah, and I'm going, I'm just thinking of how it would work. And then I went, okay, then we're going to switch to Africa and England or Europe area.
Yeah.
And then you would switch to the US, Canada, and
Mexico
and Brazil. Yeah. And as you change time, as you go through 888, yeah, it would work out to be a constant.
Yeah.
And that would make it a true, hey, here's 24 hours of Star Trek.
And it's all international, and it's international because various sections contribute 8 hours.
Right.
Right. So everybody gets their sort of spotlight day in the sun. And everybody can watch different things at different times, and
I think each of those areas have 4 time zones.
It would definitely become one of those things of the variant of time zones, but yeah, I mean, and it can be done. I have participated in SCA events that have worked under similar structures where they have been basically using a 24-hour clock and doing a complete, rehash of how things are, or not rehash, where they've done things in different areas, hosted different things in different areas. On a 24-hour clock schedule, and it can work well. It is a honestly very challenging structure to work with. I wasn't part of the team that was doing the overall planning, but I was on the team of doing the moderation because we were doing obviously a whole bunch of stuff on Zoom so that people could participate, because this was classes, not just sort of like interviews or talks or stuff like that. It was very much a interactive thing where you were running multiple classes at the same time for 24 hours. So that had some logistical challenges, and I definitely did some stuff, and I was willing to do different things because I sat there and said, like, if I'll do this class at these times. I only did the class once, but I said, if you want me to do a second class for what we were doing, I would gladly do a class that was basically 6 a.m. for me, so that it would be at a much more convenient time for people in Europe and people in Australia.
Yeah. Let me wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. What time is that? Oh,
actually, to be perfectly honest, it was literally like I was going to mod like till 11 and then get up for a class. It was definitely not me doing smart things for me, but definitely trying to show a willingness to be able to participate and help out and go, hey, I'm willing to do classwork for this, because I had a mod. I modded until like 11 o'clock that night. But they didn't give me the 6 o'clock thing. I'm sure there would have been some modifications in my mod duties if I had ended up with a 6 a.m. class, but I might have been stubborn and said, no, I'm fine. I'll be okay.
I never realized how much doing the MC thing over a 24-hour block can get to you until doing the VIC. And I enjoyed doing it, but when you realize we got done Friday night at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then waking up less than 8 hours later to get back on and go again.
Yeah.
You're going, by the time that was done, and then I went and played that evening D&D.
Yeah.
By the time it was 9 o'clock at night, I'm sitting in my D&D group going,
and they're like, no, we're leaving them alone.
yeah. So I can say it would be an interesting thing to do. And I know that I'm emceeing this year as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're expanding to 3 days, I believe. Not the 2. So
well, that'll be fun because I mean that's a lot of time. One, it's a lot of time to fill, and two, there's just it's a lot on the organizational side of that equation.
And I know for a fact that Aaron's looking for help with it. Still, they're doing a lot of planning. I don't get to get into a lot of it. My health has been very bad.
Well, that's unfortunate.
From December around Christmas parade to about a month ago, it was really bad. Like I didn't have any energy. I have ulcerative colitis, and it was inflamed so bad it was drastically dropping my energy. I could barely get to work, and there was some nights I called out. But I haven't been able to do stuff like I haven't touched my 3D printer in 6 months.
Okay.
I took days off to do the con knowing how tired I was. Since then, I picked up some stuff like I started using CBD oil and gummies.
Right.
And the CBD actually has helped with the sleep part of it. So I'm feeling
helps, right?
Oh God.
But I live in a country where that's legal. So
when the other thing goes legal, I'm a drug rehab tech.
Right.
I held a certification for 10 years and all this, and I've always said, because I've known since I was like 4 years old, reading my godmother's Native American herbal book, that marijuana had medical benefits.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is unless you're an addict and have that addicted personality, if it will help you and you're not overdoing it and you're following the rules of Kevin Smith of handle your high, I'm good with it. It is way less dangerous than alcohol. And I've seen the result of alcohol from being an Al-Anon kid. So I experienced that.
Yeah.
But when I started taking this because of the medical things after reading the Israel's testing of cannabis with treating ulcerative colitis, I was like, I've got to try something. I can't afford to go to a doctor and get the prescriptions. Let me see if, for what I could go to the doctor, I'm buying the CBD oil.
Yeah. No, I get it. And
now, if I was in Canada, it'd be different because your medical system. And
well, at least you'd go to the doctor, he'd give you the prescription, and then you'd go and fill it, right? So
right.
And that would definitely depend on your job benefits. But even then, it's sort of like, well, it's not like it, because also, in Canada, we also have it being legal for recreational use.
Right.
So well, it is alcohol now, basically.
Right. So, funny thing, 4 years ago, I was out of work. I lost my job.
Yeah.
I got on the government supported healthcare plan. Same company I have now as far as the healthcare.
Huh.
Different plan. That plan, I was paying $26 out of pocket a month for the healthcare plan. And then at the end of the year, I paid a little bit more because of I got a job. And so my input should have went up, but that was good. I was paying $1 copay to see a regular doctor and $3 to see a specialist.
Yeah.
That year, I saw a foot doctor for bone spurs, and I saw my gastrologist probably 6 or 7 times each person.
Yeah.
And I actually had the medicine that I need.
Yeah.
When I started working for Walmart, same company plan, and got on full time a year later.
Twitch. I get it.
It cost me 3 times as much per month for the healthcare.
Yeah.
It cost me $35 to go to a primary care doctor, and $75 to go to a specialist. So in order for me to get the medicine to treat my ulcerative colitis, it'll cost me $100 just to go to the doctor. And that's without right now I need steroids and anti-inflammatory, and there's one other medicine. I can't remember what it is, but it would cost me another $60 a month in medicine.
Yeah.
So in the end, it would cost me $150 just to get the medicine once. I'm testing different stuff. The one I was testing, the gummies, were $45. The tincture, which is double the doses of it, is $90. Now, I'm going to be testing some cheaper stuff that I could get online, trying different ones. But I can tell you already, I'm sleeping better without the side effects that Ambien or some of the other sleeping pills do.
Right. Okay. That makes perfect sense.
So, like I said, unfortunately, the U.S. healthcare system, I've always said that they could have done a lot more.
Definitely a system that probably needs a lot of work.
It needs to be burnt to the ground and redone.
Yeah, that is not wrong. It's just a lot. The process of doing that would cause some difficulties for, virtually everybody would have some sort of difficulty with it while you were burning it to the ground.
Yep, but so, like I said, I've been trying diet things, stuff like that, and it just wasn't. In the past, I tried the diet and I reversed for 7 years. I couldn't afford healthcare insurance or my phone, basically, where I was working. And through my diet and stuff like that, I put my ulcerative colitis into remission over time. This time, the diet thing isn't helping. So, like I said, I was like, okay, I want to try the CBD, the legal stuff, the CBD, or they call it hemp stuff, and try it out, see how it was. Well, Drew had the gummy that I bought, and I tried it, and within seconds, I started feeling relaxed, which got rid of a lot of the stress. And I was like, wait a minute. And what was funny is the gummy he gave me was a morning wake-up gummy. 30 minutes later, I went and took a nap.
Funny that, but anyways.
So I told that to the CBD, the one CBD store, and she looks at me and went, "You fell asleep with that?" I went, "Yeah." So all my life, caffeine doesn't wake me up.
Okay.
It doesn't have an effect on me. So the the stuff, whatever the stuff is in the wake up, I've gotten a lot more used to it, so I don't fall asleep now. But if I take it, I'll and go lay down.
I get it. I get it. The thing they're using, this is much like how they, as another example, it's like when they make Dayquil, they basically put a stimulant in it to counteract the drowsy part. If you're immune to that stimulant or that kind of thing that keeps you awake,
Well, actually, Dayquil doesn't have Benadryl in it. NyQuil does.
well, okay, it might vary on batch because I think.
And also, there's alcohol in the NyQuil.
Yes, there's definitely alcohol in the NyQuil.
So,
although I don't know how much of that is in the pill form.
Oh, I'm not even thinking it. The Benadryl is in the pill form. So what a lot of people don't understand is 90% of the over-the-counter sleeping pills are actually Benadryl.
Oh, okay, sure. Take your word for it.
It starts with a D, Y, diaterm. I don't know the thing off the top of my head right now. It's been a couple of years since I had a certification for medicine because of the drug rehab. I passed out medicine all the time because we didn't have a doctor or a nurse 24 hours a day.
Right. Okay, I get it.
So I started looking at medicines over the counter by their generic name or the true name. And I realized I went to the Dollar Tree and picked up sleeping pills.
Right.
Picked up Benadryl. Looked at them and went, huh, the active ingredient is the exact same.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the generic for Benadryl was on the sleeping pill.
Yeah.
So some people, Benadryl doesn't make sleepy.
Right.
It has the exact opposite effect. Just like a person with ADHD, you give them Adderall, and they do this. You give Adderall, Vampire, if you want to come in, the link is up in the chat. But
yeah.
So I didn't realize that fully how it worked until I literally I had 10 out of 20 kids were ADHD and had a stimulant. And I'm like, why would you give a kid a stimulant? And then I started researching it and I found out because of the body chemistry of an ADHD person, you give them caffeine in the morning and all of a sudden they calm down. Well, it's really similar to that with me, where caffeine doesn't do anything, but a lot of the sleeping meds causes me to fall. Or I'm saying a lot of the wake up meds has the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Now, Benadryl will knock me out for 2 days. I already know that. I purposely don't take an abundance of medicines unless I have to. Now, mind you, my boss calls this the medicine counter. because every time somebody comes in with a cold, I pull out Alka-Seltzer and cough drops and go here. Because I know Alka-Seltzer helps with my stomach problems and pain and stuff like that. And I have cough drops because, well, menthol helps with my sinus problems.
Right.
But I've always kept a first aid kit and all that stuff in there with basic medicine. But like I said, it would when I realized that the sleeping pills and the Benadryl were the same medicine, and Benadryl, even in the generic form, was $5 a box, and the sleeping pills for the same amount was $1.50.
Fair.
So whenever I'd go on camping trips, I always wanted Benadryl in case somebody got an allergic reaction. So what would I grab? Go up to the store and grab 2 boxes of sleeping pills, threw them in my first aid kit. Now, nowadays it's a little bit different because all the prices raised. But in about 10 years ago, that's when I figured out Benadryl and the sleep aids were the same. How you doing, John?
Welcome, John.
Yeah, right.
So did anybody outside of you and your XO get to see the video from your chapter?
Yeah, right.
Huh?
I don't know. They might have probably done. I'll have to check my Facebook page.
So I'm working on talking to Clive. Another chapter in England just started up. To hopefully we'll be able to get them on the next show for the coffee with. And I know Richard was going to talk to his CO.
Yeah, I'll definitely talk to my CO. It is definitely probably because of the fact that we've got Expo coming up here at the end of April. It'd probably be something we do in May because we don't have any convention gigs in May. So I'll definitely talk to him more when we have some time. I know right now the command schedule, like the commanders all have vastly different schedules, and then trying to get time to like meet and discuss things without being at a ship meeting is being a little challenging because we have somebody who's on 12-hour shifts, mornings and afternoons, and then we have me who's like, I work, 7 to 4, and definitely, and then I have somebody who is working Monday to Friday in an ICO, but is working like mornings and afternoons for the tasks he's doing. So
Yeah,
with the occasional thing of sometimes it shifts and it's like, he'll work a Tuesday to Saturday rather than a Monday to Friday. So, and I just have not gotten the rhyme or reason of why that happens or why those shifts happen, but whatever. It's not super important to me what those are, but yeah, it's been a little more difficult. I've been meaning to get back to him about stuff, but we also have other ship stuff to get to. And obviously we've got Expo coming up, which is the 27th to the 30th of April. We got the Parade of Wonders, which is on the 28th, which is a parade through downtown Calgary on the Friday. Looks like we're going to have 6 to 8 people at a minimum for that. I know we have some cursory invites where some of those things are like, if you're in town at the time, then we'll do that. And I just posted the generic information about that. So we're hoping to have a good turnout for that. And that'll be good and fun. It'll be the debut of like the public seeing our ship flag. We're also going to have the Wild Rose there as part of the contingent because we're sort of doing the parade as a Region 10 event rather than necessarily a U.S. Chinook event. So that's sort of being a regional event. And then, of course, we're looking forward to Vulcan, which I think is in July. And we're having 2 people from Discovery there. No, not 2 people from Discovery. One from Discovery, one from
Picard.
No, Strange New Worlds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, so we're having the navigator whose name escapes me right now, the redhead with the cybernetic implant.
Oh,
She's coming to Vulcan, and our wonderful blind Avar from Strange New Worlds, the chief engineer.
That's going to be awesome.
Those are the two headliners for that. I believe there'll be a third guest, but I don't know when that is being announced. But those are the two guests that exist thus far, and probably we'll end up with some legacy guest as well, which is usually like one of the people from quote unquote the golden age of Star Trek in a role. But we'll see how that goes out. It's to me a very nice set. I know last year we had Chris Doolan was one of the guests, and I just cannot remember who the other guest was, or the other two guests were. I'd look forward to Lieutenant J coming back. Whenever she comes back, she is a barrel of fun. In 19, she was at Vulcan, and she stopped by in her in the SUV that was taking her back to Calgary because the guests stay in Calgary. Just because the accommodations are nicer in Calgary, and she came and stopped by the tailgate, which is very famous.
That's Tracy?
Yeah, that's Tracy.
Okay.
I'm just having one of those things of I can't remember names. I am bad at this. And then I'm trying to disguise.
So we refer to her as Drew's smoking partner.
That's
because last year at the Southwest Florida Con,
yeah,
it was her and Gates.
Was it sure? Wasn't
it? It was Tracy and Gates McFadden.
Oh, okay. Well, who was it? He had a good thing, good set of conversations with Chase one.
Not Gates. It was Chase. Sorry, it was Chase.
Okay, cool. Like I'm like. You know, so, and I'm like, I would love to have conversations with Chase.
Basically, I went, go ahead and go talk. I'm at the booth, and I went out to pick up, lock Jess in because he's in a wheelchair, and the entrance we came in was on one side.
Yeah.
The entrance for the main thing was on the other side of the building, and he came in late because of a tire blow. Right, well, I'm walking. I had just gotten away from the booth to walk him in, and Drew took over. And I'm coming around, and I see Tracy and Drew walk out. I'm like, what the hell? Tracy grabbed him and goes, let's go have a cigarette. So
I have some really jealous things. I've had a number of friends who, when Calgary was an independent con rather than being part of Fan Expo, they were on various teams, and a number of them were on team leads. And I had a friend who basically was team lead for guest chaperoning, I think is the best. They have another term for it, but it can be basically said as like guest chaperoning. So like making sure they go to their tables on time, making sure they go to their photo ops on time, that kind of thing.
Right.
And like the list of people that she had done that for was like a who's who of science fiction and fantasy. Like trying to say I was immensely jealous was like the understatement of the year. This woman literally has met most of my heroes in that regard. I mean, the only people she hasn't necessarily done, and I don't think Michael Dorn's ever done Calgary, and that's part of the reason why she has not done Michael Dorn. But so Jonathan Franks is this year, so we're looking forward to that for at Calgary. It'll be interesting to see what we get at Edmonton. I have to look again and get the calendar and see what other people who are of interest. I know this year it's a little more Star Wars focused. We are having the young girl who played Leia come and is coming to Expo, and I expect that to be stupendous. I really enjoyed her in Kenobi. And there are definitely some others coming, and I know there's some voice actors, and I'm pretty sure there's at least one or two people who are like from Rebels coming as well. And and let's face it, I mean, I don't know how some of your ships are, but on my ship we are really strong science fiction nerds. And we like everything. There are a number of us who are Firefly fans. Shiny is in the vocabulary on our ship.
Well, come on. You have to be a Firefly fan. It is the show that is actually the original concept for Star Trek. Cowboys
yes, true. And definitely, we have our Star Wars fans, and we always love to hide tribbles in the because I'll be honest, the 501st always has a very big display, and we like to hide tribbles in it.
So I'm going to pull up a picture from the Southwest Con. It is actually our resident Ferengi's display. Do you notice the picture right in front of the headdress?
Yes.
That's a signed picture of her and Chase Masterson.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
That she took, and then at Southwest Florida Con, Chase signed it.
Yeah. I have an interesting photo. I have a publicity photo that Tracy did as a Ferengi.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm pretty sure it's signed. I don't see why it wouldn't be. And we got that. I got that at Vulcan, and like any good Ferengi, I did trade for it rather than pay her money. She wanted she wanted a next generation badge that we had, and I basically paid the club at club rate for it, and then gave it to her in exchange for that photo of her done in complete Ferengi.
Nice.
So, and as you definitely see, not the most common thing out there.
Tracy and Chase answering questions. We didn't get to see that because, we'd been up since 4 a.m. and needed to go home.
That was later in the evening.
Yeah, I'm pulling up one of the hosts of her pictures, Jessica. But I meant to close that. Whoops. But basically, we were on almost the corner. They were 2 booths from us.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
So basically, between people going to talk to them, we would walk over and talk to them. And like I said, they talked, and she knew Drew smoked. So for the rest of the con, every time she went out to smoke, her and Drew would go out to smoke. But that was right after we had Chase on After Dark too.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was like they both talked back and forth. So from what I understand, Drew said that let's see something. I haven't seen this episode of Picard yet, John. I meant to do it, but there was a lot of problems popped up.
Yeah, I really don't think this is designed to let me present. But anyways, I sent you an image in the chat of when Pike and Spock from Strange New Worlds was at our booth.
Dude, I'm jealous.
I was not present for this. That is our regional coordinator, though.
I am still jealous. I gotta
the fact that we got both of them at the same time is pretty damn spiffy.
I really like the presentation of this Spock. a lot more than the Spock from Beyond. The
JJ Spock.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what we're talking about then.
He fits a lot better that human / Vulcan setup.
I really think he really shone in that Discovery as well, right? And then there's that short track where he's being walked around by the by number one, right?
Yeah,
arguably the original number one.
Yeah,
for purposes of in continuity.
Oh,
the original number one.
The fact that they did the storyline of number one, or number one, is so interesting. I can't wait to see more of this when it. Wait a minute, it should be out, ain't it? Was it May 2nd or March? March. Was it this month or next month?
It'll be next month.
Dang it.
But it is nice. I mean, it is nice. We're hoping to get Jonathan Franks to stop by the booth. This is the year after a number of years of not having hats. We are going to get hats done up like a regular naval ship. I'm buying 3 because I want mine. It's funny. I joined the crew. I think it was 15 minutes after they sold the last hat of the last batch. So I definitely am one of those people who I'm really looking forward to this batch, and I am buying 3 because I will wear it out.
Well, I would say I know a guy, but you're way too far away.
Yeah, well, and the funny part was that we're getting the same people who did the original batch to do them again.
Oh, cool.
And ironically, they're literally sitting there and going, while they're sitting there and going, hey, you need to pay a new setup fee because we changed the names. That's good. But I don't care about the setup fee. The fact you're going to deliver in time for Expo is much more important to me than.
What is it? $40 to set it up or something?
Yeah, it'll be whatever. I mean, I personally paid setup fees for a number of different patches and stuff. But to address John's question about the new CQ layout, I will confess that I have not been a good boy, and I watched the email come in, and I was like, "Is that new, or is it just they fixed the email question finally?" And I haven't taken a look at it. The CQ is not exactly the top thing that I do on a quarterly basis when it comes in, because it's just not one of my things. I've got so much on the plate, and then and like many people, many people will argue the various things, but I do that thing where you come across something and then you do it really like gun ho for a couple weeks, and then you drop off and pick up the next new thing. So that sometimes spoils my ability to go and do that. And lately it's been wrestling, where I've been watching lots of top 10s and lots of analytical stuff, largely about WWE, but some other stuff as well. And that's just been the thing, and that has occupied huge chunks of my time, in ways that are if you don't do it yourself, it's really hard to explain what happens. But you can watch 4 hours fly by really fast and go, where did those 4 hours go?
As far as the CQ question goes, here. Bing. Let's do it this way. Pop it up. It is now set up like a
feels like that feels like it's trying to be a GQ cover with a background that doesn't quite fit that, but definitely that presentation of our
okay.
Two important members is significantly very GQ-ish, especially given that logo.
So it's set up as like a PDF presentation, which works a lot better on. Give me 1 second. It works a lot better on cell phones because you can flip back and forth here. So when I read it, I actually read almost the whole thing.
Oh, that's cool. Anything that encourages reading is a good thing.
So the nice thing was I could read it on my cell phone, and I didn't have to have something bigger, and I could actually do it. The graphics is actually a lot better. Some of the old things, the backgrounds were really granulated. So while this isn't the newsprint that somebody said, oh, I'd love to have the newsprint, which take it down to your local printer and print it out. It becomes the newsprint again.
Oh yeah, like and I have the benefit of I have good quality color lasers at my work, and I can pop it out in a minute or two. Certainly, my own newsletter, the last version of that, looks really good graphically. This is stupendously well done for that kind of thing. I do love the ad-like qualities of some of this stuff, and this sort of sidebar informative stuff, like the movies in the page 3, page 4. That's definitely a thing. Look, and some of this other stuff, like the like this particular ad for the VIC is really well done. Given the sort of theme of that, but yeah, graphically this is well done. And of course, John contributes to this, which is probably why he's keeping it.
So to me,
it's worth hyping, John.
Like I said, I really love the layout because it's so much easier than to scroll nonstop on a continuous page.
Oh yeah.
And
no, I prefer the PDF too.
This setup was so crisp that
it is a great setup.
As opposed to an old newspaper, this, if you were to print this out and bind it, would make, like you said, similar to a GQ type magazine, a small magazine. And
that cover really sells that, right? That original cover for this is primo sort of that.
And it's got.
We had a cosplay contest. I missed
it.
That.
It was cosplay competition. Yeah, the one it was. Well, you said it was one number. We're doing one this year.
Kind of wish I had known. I would have put in my Klingon. Just kidding. But the fact is
that reminds me, like, whatever happened to our cookbook?
We're gonna have to get Donna on one day.
Yeah, we have to get Donna on to sort of go, what happened with this?
She said she was eating with family, otherwise she would be on. So,
well, one day we'll playfully rake her over the coals about it.
But
I remember, and I'll be honest, I'm being super selfish because of the fact that I sat there and gave her, like, I think 10 different recipes for different things.
I did 3 recipes complete with pictures.
Yeah, I had pictures. I think I had pictures for most of it, but I didn't. I know I had a drink where I only gave 1 picture, even though technically they probably would look different.
I love the little joke here. Having trouble with tribbles? Yeah. But this is probably one of the biggest CQs I've seen.
Yeah, it's pretty too. Like, it is well done.
Okay.
It is well done. if you can put out this kind of content every quarter, it'll really elevate
45
us
pages.
as an organization.
45 pages of content that is magazine quality.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
So this would be something that if a chapter were to print off some and pay for the binding or whatever, they could pass this out as like a recruiting magazine to show.
Well, certainly give you an idea of like what do we do, because that's sometimes a question of like, well, what do you do? Like, what is the point of SFI? It's like easy to explain what you do locally as a chapter, but trying to put that SFI spin on things can sometimes be a little quote unquote difficult. And when you can sit there and point to something like this and go, these are the organizations, these are the things, this is the recognition we do, on various things, how we do, like the newsletter awards. That looks like that's a well-defined, this is what we do, which I really deeply appreciate, because of the fact that sometimes our awards are like a post on Facebook, and that doesn't always get across the gravitas you want, right?
So we're missing something with the newsletter awards, though. That while there are a lot of them that are great, you're doing a new cosplay of Star Trek uniform, send pictures to the USS. Here, I'm going to copy
put that in a thing on the thing.
I'm going to do it this way. Copy. I'm going to do it this way. Paste. Oh, right. Wrong chat. Duh. Tired.
It happens.
Put it in this one and go boop. So that is actually in chat.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot easier for people to reference there.
Yep. So I added that to the chat itself. But co.ussessex@gmail.com. Send your Starfleet or Star Trek uniforms cosplays, because they're doing another cosplay contest hosted by the Essex.
Well, right. I will definitely. So, John, that would be for the next communique, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
So we can take some pictures at the
that's right. Yeah,
upcoming con. We can take some pictures at the parade, that kind of thing, and everybody can send in their stuff.
One photograph of yourself.
Yeah, and we have to fill out a release.
Yeah, and there's a release form on the academy. On the just a permission to use a photograph.
Okay, cool, awesome. I will definitely get people involved in at least in my local chapter, especially given that we have a nice, wonderful event to display ourselves at.
Yeah, no kidding. Can I use? Hold on. Let's share this one.
I think it's in the communique. What date it is? I think it's May. I think.
Is this cheating?
Well, that's a lot of people that's getting the release done with.
Hey, the VCS is
look at release date.
That Deadpool is cool.
Do you notice the weapon he's got is mine?
That's your right.
That weapon is actually this one.
Yeah, Yeah, I've often commented that I am jealous of the phaser rifle you have.
So it was one of those things of I'm carrying that around, and I got a Jedi to do it, which that one I kind of asked a favor for.
As an interesting quirky thing, I also have a from our sister ship here in Calgary, the Wild Rose. They owe me a Type 2 phaser that they're printing out. So
sweet.
We'll see how that comes out. Because my own thing is trying to fix a bad print. that's been more challenging than I had.
So we took the disruptors, the Klingon disruptors, and we were going to use those for our costumes, for our Klingon costumes.
Yeah, fair.
The two that were going to use it, Drew and Mike, their belts wouldn't hold them. They were so big.
Oh, okay.
And Mike printed them at 100% infill.
Yeah.
So they were heavy.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest. I mean, I remember the holsters that they used in largely Next Generation for the disruptors were very big and tube, like basically they were like tubes with a slant on them because the disruptors were huge in comparison to like a handgun prop or or the phasers, which are obviously a lot more complicated or a lot more compact. Even when you're using the dustbusters, which, to be perfectly honest, are probably the biggest Type 2 phasers in that generation. So that would be just just Next Generation DS9 Voyager, right? The dustbusters in season 1, 2, I think it is, maybe a little bit in 3. I think those are the biggest they get. They get smaller from there, and they're not even that big in that context, right?
No. So that was an awesome display, though.
Oh, that is an awesome display. I have to admit, I've never seen someone print out a Romulan disruptor, but that would also be fairly clunky.
Yeah.
Because it is a very big weapon, and the holsters they were using for that were, while not tubular because they don't fit in the tubes very well, they were a fairly chunky holster.
So that's Jessica from the engineering show.
Oh, yeah.
Lauren White. And that's June from the USS Haven.
Oh, that's cool.
So Lauren White is the VCS chairperson. Well, his right-hand person.
Okay.
But
that is green makeup on her, right? In the center. Okay. It's a weird sort of like it's just a color thing where I'm just like verifying the
by the way, count the number of rifles.
Yeah. You have 4 collectively?
I don't. Well, yeah. Mike and Drew and me printed it. I printed off a couple items for one. Drew printed off some, but Mike was the primary to do the 3.
Okay.
So those 3 or those 4.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if we have a picture of the disruptors on here. Because we made them, but like I said, when that holster broke, they were like, nope, we're not using those. And I had my axe, so I didn't need a weapon specifically.
Yeah.
Nope, those aren't there. I had to find it a different way. But we took and had those sitting there in the booth. So the 3 of them were not, and they're still not 100% complete. There's still some work on them.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but
quite often we get that kind of thing where you never quite complete everything.
But we also were trying to keep up with the 501st that brought a whole city block and 78 people.
Well, I mean, and I've had that, and I've had at least one, probably more like 2 or 3 discussions with Greg from Australia, whose ship escapes me right this second.
They always have like 30 people at theirs.
Yeah, so I mean, and the thing we deal with the 501st is the fact that it's triple the thing. They have a very different aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that yes, their aesthetic is cooler than Star Trek's aesthetic. It encourages their costume organization to work better and have more members. There's just no way to sit there and say differently. It's also an aesthetic that can largely be dealt with what I might consider more practical applications of, and quite possibly in an application of making a Stormtrooper outfit feels a lot better to a certain demographic of a particular gender, male, than making an actual uniform of one's own in a Star Trek context.
Yeah.
So I think there's that. There's the whole, you can have a, there's assigned weapons. You are the bad guys, which is an undeniable part of that appeal. Like no short there. They're the bad guys. And that has an appeal and an aesthetic that, is arguably just more successful in that manner, right? Star Trek fans are, and I think also it encourages a different style of fandom. Obviously, there is a lot of Star Trek people who are into practicals. Obviously, you and Drew, for examples, very, very strong examples of the let's make things, let's build things, let's put up these displays kind of thing. More in the same line as the 501st, and I applaud you for that. So don't think at any point I am sort of dissing you in this conversation. But definitely, I think there are just aspects of it that get them more excited about it. And I'll be perfectly honest, from the hero point of view, the ragtag bag of rebels, which isn't so much a 501st thing, but another aspect of their fandom, they both have better aesthetic recruitment in that manner, whereas Star Trek tends to be a bunch of more cerebral people. Like, you can find lots of Star Trek fans, but not necessarily all of them want to be part of an organization or want to be, like, in a club doing volunteer work in the same manner that the 501st has managed to get that corner.
Well,
and to be honest, the 501st are that corner. Like, locally, the only thing that competes with them is the Ghostbusters.
Well, I think part of that is the fact that, oh, cool. So the winner of the cosplay contest will get a free year membership as the reward.
That's all kinds of awesome, to be perfectly honest.
Heck yeah.
So
send your cosplay pictures similar to that.
I ironically this morning was at a measurement for my Class A Marine tunic.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm going to do the parade in it. It is a lot. It's supposed to be done in time. but I don't know if I want to wear that much gabardine because I actually broke down and bought gabardine this time.
Hot.
So I went with 100% wool, so it's half and half. It'll breathe better.
My band uniform was a wool one. I think we were one of the last classes to wear that one.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I was glad it was wool when I was in New York City during Macy's. But when I came back and did the parades here, oh my Lord.
And you do have to remember that last year the parade was canceled because of snow.
Yeah.
So, still a thing. But I'll be perfectly honest, like most of my Star Trek, the ones where they're something that is an actual uniform, 2/3 of them are fairly warm anyways. And let's face it, my ship's standard uniform is a, First Contact, later Deep Space Nine Nemesis uniform.
Right.
Or Insurrection uniform. So,
because this was a Star Trek based con, my goal was to get a couple Star Wars people with Star Trek things. So the Jedi with the rifle. And then y'all saw the Darth Vader on our transporter. I also have him on the Klingon command chair.
Oh, that's cool.
But there's the disruptors. So those are about half the size of the rifles. I couldn't tell you where they are. Oh, one of them's back here. I don't think this one's Tori's. I think this one's one of them. Nope, this one's Tori's.
I have to confess, I may have had some time shenanigans at various points last year.
This is the small version of it.
I may be sending you in the chat me getting like bayoneted by a Confederate soldier.
So at the end of this month, we're supposed to go to Prehistoric Con.
Oh, that sounds like it could be fun.
And we're supposed to help out because it's... Oh, that's awesome. So what I plan on doing is going in the uniform to do the volunteering and taking one of the tricorders with me and act like I'm on a different planet. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a prehistoric / cyberpunk con.
Oh, that should be interesting.
It's also outdoors, so.
Yeah, no. This is me getting stabbed with a sword is actually I'm actually being stabbed by one of our shipmates. The one with the round shield.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's with the she's also with the SCA, but she's stabbing me there. That's the Frasers being below her is the Frasers bayoneting me. And this is also me being bayoneted by the Devil's Brigade, because we have a local organization dedicated to recreating the Devil's Brigade, which is the U.S. Canadian Combined Special Forces Unit.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's what this particular thing, which is called Summer Skirmish, is. It's at the military museum we have in town. And I just thought this was all on a Sunday, because I was with the SCA people on Saturday, therefore I could not be in uniform. And this is in my this is in the brigade walkout dress that I have. So it's just a duty dress. It works really well. It has short sleeves. It's technically class D.
If I didn't see the comm badge on it, you could have been security for the place.
And fortunately, most of the security wasn't in black. Obviously, I went with black because of the fact that that's the uniform color generally taken to. And more than once I was mistaken for security, but I am wearing the 8-point. And I do have the that, and it is a duty uniform, not a when I was looking for a brigade solution, I'll be perfectly honest. Hi, welcome to my solution to the problem the Salt and Peppers had.
Hey,
my solution was to create a duty uniform that used a black shirt instead of using the white shirt. And fortunately in Calgary, I don't have to worry about while the police are in black, they're really easy to tell from me because they wear Stetsons. So they wear because we are Calgary. Ironically, and I've heard this, people go, why do they wear black cowboy hats? And I'm like, well, their uniform is black with red trim. So it makes sense because we're known for giving out the white hat. When you can see it in the picture that I provided that had Captain Pike there, and he has the white hat on. That's because he was hatted early in the day, right? So that meant that was a Friday picture because they normally get hatted at the end of the parade. We all congregate. We all congregate in this plaza that was originally made for in fact, it used to be where a lot of the medal ceremonies for the 88 Calgary Expo were. And usually a guest who gets white-hatted will get white-hatted there by the mayor with, hundreds of cosplayers and several other hundreds of other people. So so this hat is a gift that the city gave him. So it's not even an expo gift. It is the city gave him that hat.
That's actually a Stetson?
Yeah. It's a variant. It's actually like it's a cowboy hat in a Stetson frame that we have if you don't know anything about Calgary, we have the Calgary Stampede. We humbly call it the greatest outdoor show on earth.
Well, and
it is one of the biggest rodeos on earth. There are only a couple things that compete with it.
It's a copy of the Stetson. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a Stetson as in a Stetson, but it is.
I was just going to say that's $125 hat if it's a.
No, that is still probably $120 hat. Because we have a hat company in Calgary, and if you want to spend it, there is a $1,400 hat.
Fuck that. Sorry. So I when I was a kid, I worked at the flea market, and one of the businesses I managed at age 15 was a hat booth.
Right.
And the factory that Stetson is made in is in Mexico.
Yeah.
The same factory that made the Stetson made the white straw hats that I sold. You could actually flip over the Stetson and flip over the straw hat, and in they go by X's in the inside band to show the quality of the hat.
Yeah.
The Stetson straw and the hat that I sold had the exact same markings.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. That is definitely one of those things that happens. Yeah, so the local company here in Calgary is called Smith-Bill. And they provide that hat is provided too, and they make a lot of obviously hats, right?
Yeah.
Where is that?
That's an awesome key to the city, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, and it's one of those things, right? Like if you go to grab a hat, like the classic bull rider, which I believe all the winners at the Calgary Expo get is a like it's 100x.
Damn.
And I'm looking at their site right now, and 100x bull rider, which is I believe what they get as part of their package, because they also get a belt buckle that's probably worth several $100 on its own because it's silver and gold and stuff. And it's the size of a platter.
Wait, I don't have to ride a bull and I get a belt buckle?
Well, you have to win.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you can buy the 100x and the bull rider is $1,130.
The one that they give away is holy shit.
Well, understand that this is the Calgary Stampede, and while it's not normally the World Championships, it has been at times, but it isn't. I don't think it currently is the World Championships. I think that's in Nevada now. But it's in the same kind of thing. Like you get a trophy related to your event.
Okay, so never mind. This is a cowboy thing that has the expo as well.
No. This is the Stampede, which is a separate event.
Huh?
I'm just talking about the hats because of the hats.
Okay.
Right? So we give hats out.
Right.
This is not a $13 hat. This is not a $1,100 hat that he has on.
Yeah.
He does have like a $140 hat on.
Yeah, it's a quality hat, but
yeah, like he does get a quality hat. He's not getting the thing the bull riders get, but like when we in Calgary for the Stampede, and hopefully this year we're trying to negotiate to be in the Stampede parade.
Cool.
So, which would probably be one of the bigger ticket things that anyone in SFI has actually participated in, because it is a worldwide televised parade.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that's like, no, it's Canadian parade. No, it's not a North American parade. It is a worldwide parade. And yeah, sure, we'll be on for 45 seconds. But we'll be on for 45 seconds, in 60 countries across the world.
Well, I can say as an SFI thing, that's awesome.
So we're still working out some of the wrinkles, because technically our current plan is to do it with Vulcan, because they always have a float. So they
do the parade with the float. Be on the float. Do not walk. You will die.
Yeah, I know, and
I speak from experience.
And we'll definitely see, because that is a July parade, so it'll be nice and toasty. So
Florida in December, it was 90 something degrees during the day, and me and Drew and two others walked carrying the banner.
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly honest, that would be the same kind of temperatures this will. This will definitely be those temperatures.
And at the end of that's when my colitis went off, and it hasn't stopped since then. So I'm like, yeah, I'm either riding the float or driving my truck next time.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely something we're still negotiating it out, like who's getting to go and how many people are we taking and that kind of thing. Because if it becomes one of those things of, because last year it was sort of like, well, we'll take two or three, or they were like taking two from like a variety of ships around, right? So they had two Klingons from the Swift Hawk, they had two of us from the Chinook, and I lottoed because the captain went, and I lottoed out who was going to be the second person with it. So we'll see. So it's coincidentally now he is the CO of the Wild Rose, but at the time he was just a junior lieutenant. But I lottoed out me. I sat there and said, you know what? I'm XO. I could just play the XO card, but I was like, no, we can nominate and vote on it. So a number of people were nominated from the crew, and then we held a vote on who would actually get to go.
Well, if you have a lot of crew in an area available, it's nice to let them participate, because as the XO and CO, sometimes I go, you got this, right? Because if you don't, I'm here. So it is nice. Ryan, one of our crew members, the first event was at Syfy Bartow.
Yeah.
And that dude was a workhorse, helping others, doing the booth, all that stuff. At one point, there's a picture where he's asleep. And I think that he was asleep for like 10 minutes because he had been going from 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was just as tired. And I can tell you, for his first event, he earned the award I sent to him.
Oh yeah, and if there's anything I'm looking forward to for con season, it is the things that people can do to earn awards. Our downtime is very limited on how people are able to get that kind of participation or that kind of level of participation. Looking forward to the con season, because it's definitely a time where people can do more to get more recognition, and I'm definitely looking out to do better. I have not always been the best at it, and I know my CO is the same way, where we are like that. But we're looking forward to putting forth that and doing that kind of thing too, because recognition is important.
Now, the best part of, I've got to do that Facebook user / StreamYard thing so that we can know who's doing the commenting. Oh, it's Jeff. Would you like to come on, Mr. Higgins? Now, the best part of, I've got to hold on. Let me go and send that link to Jeff, because we ain't talked to him in forever.
It's true.
That's what I'm Sunday.
So with the event, since it was a 4 or 5 chapters instead of, I've got to get the right length though before. Hold on. It was 5 groups together. I was able to give out region awards. And I looked at what everybody did. I didn't just hand everybody a recruiting award, you know? One guy made, and he's a brand new member of Jeff, I sent you he's a brand new member of the Haven. As a matter of fact, he had been to, this was his second event that he came to, and so it was his second event, but his registration finally went through the day before Syfy Bartow. So on his registration date, it said that he joined the day before that con. Richard.
Yeah.
So he was a brand new member, had registered like a little bit before, and it just went through then. So he brought with him a game called Knockover 7 of 9. It was like he made these bowling pins. It was on a little table with remember the old tetherball setup you used to play in school? He had a pole set up like that where you'd pull the ball back and launch it at these pins, and your goal was to knock over 7 of 9 pins, or if the 7 of 9 character was on, knock over 7 of 9.
Right.
So it was an awesome game. I gave him the Creators Award for that.
Oh yeah.
He brought that to the con, and that was a game that a lot of people played.
Yeah.
So,
no.
While he was recruiting and doing that stuff, I said, I want to give the awards to what they did. So the people that took time to plan the event between the ships, they got planning awards. The people that just were mainly recruiting, they did the recruiting awards. The people that were showing what Star Trek really was and talking with the public and having fun, as that, I gave them the Roddenberry Award. I made sure that it wasn't just, hey, there's 19 recruiting awards, which would have been a lot easier.
Oh yeah, no, and I definitely, and I've definitely given away awards. Like ironically, I know it sounds a little weird to give your CO an award, but I definitely we gave him a Cochrane Award because he does the setup for our Artemis setup, and he's got it all set up. I mean, we can set up Artemis in about 7 minutes now.
Yeah.
Given proper tabling to begin with. I mean, if we also have to set up tables, then it's a little longer. But it all snaps together pretty flawlessly now. It's got a trunk cable that does all of its work, and definitely there's some stuff where I've done. I've given up the Samaritan Award. In fact, we were at I think in 2020, I know that'll sound weird, but the Summer Skirmish is an outdoor event. Yeah. So there were some different rules in play when we were doing that particular event, right?
Right.
At that event, the World War I people had a demo, and they had like, I think they had 4 or 5 members. Well, they needed all their members for the demo. So one of my ship crew sat there and said, "Well, okay, go do your demo, and I'll man your booth and make sure nothing walks off, and do my best, right?" And I mean, like I'm a military history nut. Like pretty much all of us that end up working that particular event are all military history buffs, so we can pretty much sub at pretty much any of the tables.
Right, volunteer.
Right. So he went and picked that up, and as a result, I gave him the Samaritan Award for it because he did it for each of their demos and was like, "Yeah, I'll look after it." He did it unscripted. He didn't get a stain. He didn't get any encouragement from me. He just sat there, went and did it, and I was like, "Yeah, then that should be recognized because that's what I was looking at and doing." And and I think that's a big part of the responsibility of people to understand as people in command in various parts of the organization of SFI that we need to sit down and go, hey, this is a thing. For example, you guys were running After Dark, you and Drew. You were running After Dark. That is a big component, especially at the time, of SFI, and basically, the engagement that are then commander-in-chief was giving out, right? That was a big engagement of where you could sort of engage with Steve if you were a regular member. And that was a big thing. And the fact that nobody had even thought about giving you an award, I recognized it as an opportunity of like, no, that needs to be a thing. And I got it done. Frank, you had it in 10 days.
Yeah.
Like I sat there, talked to because I'll be honest, I did get a question of why didn't I send it to my RC? And I was like, no, because I sent it to their RC. Because that's what made sense. Like, hi, me and my RC are very good friends as a thing. I mean, trust me, if I'd wanted to do it that way, but I wanted it to be recognized from the RC in the group that you were functioning in, who had a better idea of who you were. And consequently, obviously, that was definitely well received by that RC when I did it, because I knew that 10 days later it was done.
Yeah. And I gotta say, there are certain things, like I put in certain things with RCs, and I didn't realize how, when you communicate with them, it's a whole new world. It wasn't. The vampire is definitely known worldwide, not only because of After Dark, but dude, when we launched, I'm going to say this, you were at every meeting for, hello, Jeff. But
hello.
John was at every meeting for every ship in the fleet.
Yeah, in fact, he was going to attend the last meeting we had, but we had some technical difficulties we were fighting with.
So yes, you were known
John.
After Dark, but the fact that you put yourself out there to be a witness at every ship's event, you earned your ship, the Shakedown Ship of the Year, and you earned a lot more than that from all that. But I was like, every time I would be in a meeting, there's the vampire. So I was like, that's how you work together, and you always do something to do that. So, Jeff,
that's me.
How did you like since you're no longer having to manage the CQ, how did you like the new one layout?
I've looked it over. It is good quality. It is, the layout looks pretty good to me. I would have tried to keep a little bit more of a fan basis, but they're intending basis, meaning like having these short stories and the poems and stuff like that still in it, but they're intending to do a different publication for that now.
Oh, really?
I don't know how I feel. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. If you read the CQ, there is a statement in there by the new commander. To tell you the truth, I'm pleased about the overall look of the CQ, and the reports were just to the point, what they needed to be. So now, if there should have been something else, personally, I think there may have needed a little bit more needed, but I can't point a finger on it. I can't put my finger on it. I guess it's because it's so new. This is the first edition. They're trying to get it out. Everybody get a email from them?
I did, which really surprised me because of the fact that I have definitely had some difficulties getting CQ or CQ or SFI emails other than ballot.
I was informed by operations back about 6 months ago. I was trying to get when we had the election going on. Not everybody on my in my family in particular was getting their vote, their ballots. So I had told them, let's just use my email address, and I'll get it to them, which I did. They sent it to my email. Only one member of my family didn't vote this year. I found out later, but that's beside the point. He informed me that every member of your family membership need a separate email address.
Yes.
Because of something in the new computer system. So I managed to get everybody a Gmail address, and so everybody on my either has my their own personal email or whatever. So.
And I know that the only ones they said that the ones that are under 18, there's still stipulations where they'll go to because they're not voting. But they're replacing the SEC number, even though that's going to still be important, with the email address as the account's identifier.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got my grandson, who is the only one under 18, his own email address separate from his mother.
Yeah.
He did get a ballot, although I understood he wasn't supposed to. But then again, one of the adults, my daughter in particular, didn't vote this year. Everybody else got theirs through my email address, and then I just got email addresses for them and put it in there, and they accepted them. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how have they done. Now, I haven't kept up with much of anything. Haven't seen anything. Have they switched over to the new database yet?
No, of course not.
No.
As far as I know.
So I know a little bit about it. What's happening is the new database, what they were trying to get it done, and because it's even that database was set up was old, they're actually building another one. And with the data breach that they had.
Oh yeah, I was there for the last of that.
So I didn't find out about the data breach, but I was talking to somebody at Syfy Bartow that's been working in the background trying to get the email setups and a couple other things fixed so that they could actually move forward with building the new database.
Right. Understood.
And the guy that is doing it has had 25 plus years in networking and databases. So they've been working with a few people. I know that they have a certified cyber security guy working with them, trying to make sure that this database is secure, and also they're starting working on the new database as a team. So
that's what they need to do.
What's his name? Tony?
Yeah.
Tony was fixing all the problems with this database and trying to program in the old data or the old
new database
at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's way too much work for anybody. And so he built the database, put it in, and it crashed almost immediately. So I know it went in for like 3 days. So, and I know that they're working on, in the background, the engineering crew is working with the website development because they are trying to get the website as well updated. As you've seen, there's a couple new features and layouts on the. What did you say?
I said there's some
Yeah.
stuff.
But they're doing multiple projects, and at least we're starting to see the projects, see progress in the project. That is.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting if we once things are done, or how long it takes things to do, because obviously it's an interesting thing. I mean, Steve spent his entire
Trying to get that database
term
going.
as CS basically as the database being, well, eventually just a butt of a joke, right?
Mhm.
Like it just became like a Simonis thing, and it was just a thing. So it'll be interesting to see when it gets done. I hope that Dave doesn't do a term before it's finished, but we have seen various kinds of hiccups in the process, right? So
Mhm.
it's definitely not something we can just sit there and rule out without doing, as several of the people in my chapter would say, contracting someone to do it as a hi, we are a group who's a charity, and pay the amount to get it done. As many of us in our chapter have joked of, if we win the lottery, to get their damn database done so that they can do the task, and that we don't have to have a series of volunteers basically work a another job at anywhere between 15 to 40 hours a week trying to get it done, right?
Yeah. Now, I also know that there are outlying group pages that are associated with Starfleet, but not associated with Starfleet.
I think we had a couple of those. Like there was one that called. I got a text from Dave one day asking me if I knew anything about them.
Yeah,
and there were only two groups we knew: the business and the other one. And those were the two primaries which we took care of. From what I understand, that other one was owned by someone else who was in Starfleet but wanted to keep it out of Starfleet.
Well,
So I didn't bother going after him because they made that request directly to me.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not about to turn it over to you guys, so don't even ask. I did not tell him he could keep the name, though. I didn't say anything. I should have told him, then you need to change the name of the channel and take Starfleet off there.
Wow.
But it was being run for members who disagreed, I guess, with the purpose of the business and the other members only pages. I don't know why they would, but they did.
Well, I mean, we in the short time that I have been a member of Starfleet, we have definitely seen our dissension sets of groups, and we've definitely had a lot of personal drama between sections and our RCs and chapters and that kind of thing, and that's filtered around. And I'm kind of hoping that we are going to move into an era much more in that vein that Drew likes to talk about, because that would be much more helpful for everybody if we all got along and like helped each other out, rather than play a game of, well, who's going to be better and who's going to hinder people. Like when you're doing things, well, I don't want to cooperate with you because you compete for my we're competing for the same membership group. And it's like, do you have 10 members? Then don't care.
Yeah.
Like if you've got enough members to be a ship, there's no prize for having the most members on your ship. So if the solution to that is that you share members, like, hey, look, I live in Calgary. We now have 2 ships. Was the creation of 2 ships the funnest thing to deal with? No, it wasn't. I'll be honest. It wasn't. But we've all pledged to move on from that. and cooperate and do things together and be a cohesive group. And not everybody's done that.
Well, one of the things that he was trying to do was get everything branded so that if you looked up Starfleet Engineering or Starfleet Corps of Engineers, it would be our group.
Yeah.
Well, there was 2 groups. One was done by Lauren and one was done by somebody else.
Yeah.
We actually have control of both of those Facebook groups now. But I was like, okay. They're trying to get it streamlined so that all the badging, all the logos are similar. Captain Carrot, I think his name is, has been pushing out gobs of logos. So now, if you're in a position within Starfleet Command and you don't have a logo, you just didn't ask at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping that that we'll have our brigade patches in time for Expo. So that will be nice. I mean, they're on order, but they haven't shipped yet. So if they ship in the next week or so, they should be here in time. But I went chasing after it, and I was kind of hoping that they would talk to me yesterday, and they didn't. And of course, today is a holiday, stat holiday. I don't know what it's like in the U.S. It is a bank holiday, I think, where John is, right? Friday was a bank holiday for you guys?
Bank holiday Friday.
I think Good Friday is a bank holiday for most of them.
It's Good Friday.
Yeah, it's Good Friday. But, I mean, let's face it, England's a Protestant nation, so they don't call it that.
There was mail in the U.S., and the government offices were open. However, it just depended on the place and state whether they were open or not. My bank sent out a notice they weren't going to be open today.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll be perfectly honest. When I lived in Ontario, I also got the Monday off, and this would be a 4-day weekend. I work in Alberta. It is not a provincially regulated stat on Monday. Although I think it is a federally regulated stat, so I think the feds are all out on Monday. The bastards.
No, we don't celebrate. Easter isn't a federal holiday here, so they don't do the.
Labor Day is a federal holiday, but if you are actually the labor, you don't have that day off.
Well, when I worked at TVO and REX and BBJ, it wasn't a day off. No, you couldn't, because engineering television was different.
So what happens in Canada, and I can only speak authoritatively on Canada, it depends who regulates you on whose stats you get. Jeez. So if you're the bank, you get federal holidays because you're regulated by the federal government. Mm-hmm. If you're like me and work in oil and gas, you get provincial things, which can obviously vary province to province. For example, in Quebec, they don't actually get, provincially, they don't get Canada Day off. They get St. John Baptiste's Day off instead, which is a floating holiday in the last week of June, because I think it's the 24th, if I remember correctly. But that's how it works for us, is that it depends where you are regulated by, like which government regulates you.
Gotcha.
Is where you get your stats from. And obviously retail is its own thing and continues to be its own sort of shitty ball of wax, because stats are the way they are. Although, at least in theory, most of the Canadians places have to at least pay you extra. if you work the stat.
Gotcha.
So usually at least get time and a half, although I have seen some people get double time, but that seems to be possibly regulation. But
So, Carrot, these are some of the logos he's made.
well, that's cool.
So, on top of this, I know that they've been working on the website setups for them, trying to get them more streamlined so that if you see something, when you see Starfleet, you know it's officially our group.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and we definitely are playing with the use of, for the purposes of events in Calgary, of using Starfleet Calgary, which would encompass both ships as a thing. It's just handy for registration purposes.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
it's one of those things, it's a stopgap between registering as region, which implies the entire region, and registering for something where you're just registering the
Right.
And I gotta say, the QR codes are such an ease where you can set up the QR code to register to your ship or to your Facebook page or whatever. So when people scan it, they go right to it.
Right.
I really got to get that information of how you set that up from you so that I can set it up so that we can have that at the booth.
Let me look the app up. It's literally a phone app you use to make
Wow. You see, that becomes that wonderful thing of then when I want to translate it into, so I can put it into a poster that I can put on the table.
Cool
How's
thing is some of these apps you can pay a little bit more to custom create them. Like the dots might be Starship.
Oh, okay.
But when you make it, you have to test it with somebody else's thing to make sure it goes to the right place.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Or well, I mean, I could just test it with a different phone because I've got 3 phones that'll work off my Wi-Fi at home, so I could just grab another phone and do it that way.
Literally, I looked up QR creator code creator.
Oh, okay.
And thought to remember which one.
I've got two in reach, let alone.
The one I used is called QR code generator and QR maker, I believe. But Drew used a different one.
Oh, okay.
Because I made some for the VIC thing one day, just because people were looking for it, I think.
No, I fully understand. I mean, you know, I've got a convention in less than a month, so you know that's all forefront for me, right? It's like, okay, how can I make my communication better? How can we do more stuff? I mean, it's nice to have cards to give out, but
and what you can do once you make that code, set it up as a PDF, take it to your local printer, and have them print it on shiny poster board.
Yeah.
Or a PVC board.
Yeah.
That's what
I've got some options where like I have some plastic things that take an 8.5 by 11 into a thing that I can post, that I can put up on the table kind of thing too. So,
but basically, it's nice having a member that is a printer.
Because it definitely must be.
Because the nice thing is, she does give the discount to anybody that's an SFI. But like for we have different poster boards that if we were to go to Staples or whatever and print them out, it would have cost 4 times as much.
Oh yeah, and I I am looking at the pamphlets, and I have to admit that I need to sit there and go and see and do some cursory shopping around and seeing if we can, or if someone can print them out for me rather than me borrowing the work printer, because especially if I can find somebody who can print them out and the machine will fold them for us rather than 150 pamphlets kind of thing, right? That's very sort of annoying.
And I'm going to tell you, most of them, it isn't the machine folding it at the print shop. They have a...
Yeah. I don't care how it gets done, as long as it's done and I pick up something that's already done. Because nobody at my ship loves folding those damn things. And even when you've got 4 or 5 people like sitting at a table folding them for, it gets really tiresome, like really quickly.
Yeah.
And we've done it a couple times at this point where we've folded 150 or so of them, and been like, no, this is BS. We should have another way of doing this. So.
And the other thing, when you're going to look for the printer, if it's a smaller print shop, you can let them know, hey, we're a service group that we basically pay in to sell these items to fundraise for, you said you did it for the scholarship.
Yeah, STEM, the STEM group in town.
Okay, the STEM group.
They do a summer camp, right?
So if you tell them that, a lot of times some of these places will give you the discount because you are doing it for raising funds for stuff like that. And that's the one thing that Stacy does is, like, the Special Olympics needed some flyers. And the price she quoted, nobody's going to beat the price because she basically gave them the paper for free.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
So that was her donation to them, was, if you pay for the ink, I'll pay for the paper.
Oh, that's fair.
So it's one of those things. Now, a lot of them might not give you that much of a deal, but being honest with them and saying, hey, I'm going to be at Vulcan or whatever, and I got a booth. I want a stack of your cards so I can put those on there to advertise for you, since this board's going to be up there.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely stuck deals like that before, and it's just a matter of me shopping it up.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference because you never know when somebody looks at your booth and goes, "Man, that's a cool display. Where'd you get it?" And you go, "I got it printed from there. I made the image." And you don't have to tell them they gave you a discount. Hey, this is the printer. Just they see the quality, and then boom, you get the thing from there.
Oh yeah, no, definitely when that happens, I appreciate it.
But I didn't expect to go this long.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't think you expected to go 2.5 hours. That's not
we talked about all different things, from playing Star Trek Catan to supporting the kids and making a difference in the world.
Yeah. Jeff joined us and John joined us.
Yeah. And we talked about the CQ. We talked about the VIC, where they're looking for volunteers. I will be an MC again this year. And we're talking about doing a possible coffee with interview, possibly the CS and VCS.
Oh, that sounds like an interesting.
In the future, we're going to be doing coffee with each ship in the fleet. Hopefully each month we'll do a different one. You can watch the USS Essex video. One of our goals is to make a video that a ship can show others to be like a recruiting video. Upcoming, we're going to get with the executive committee and get 2 or 3 executive committee members and interview them about their positions as well. So it'll be a coffee with the executive board type deal.
Well, that'll be really interesting because a lot of those people are just at best a picture on a frame.
And what is the other one that I want to do? I'm sure we could probably do it. Is do a coffee with how to start the chapter, and actually have Shock and the people that are involved in it, so that they can talk about this is the steps, and I'm the person that you contact type deal, because I can tell you there's a few of us that started new chapters and with different experiences each. So it's one of those things of let's streamline this and let's give a how-to video. And that coffee with I plan on giving to the Corps of Engineers so that can be on the page for the web page for how to set up a chapter. So these are my plans. I would like to get to know our different AB people plus the executive people and understand their jobs, because I've been here 2 years and I still don't know what all the executive board does.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you'll find some RCs they'll jump at that chance, and hopefully they'll be able to explain their various things. Let me know if you need help wrangling the Region 10 one. That's something I am not unskilled at.
Okay. So we'll put that together. I'm going to get a calendar set up on the page so that we can start scheduling that way. So far, it's the first and third Friday is our main show days for the relaxing chat about sci-fi.
Yeah.
Then we like to do it a little bit earlier. Leaving the After Dark hour, because Steve will eventually bring back After Dark, he said. And I would like that to stay in the same spot it was.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
The coffee with, as we saw with the Essex, I'm going to try and work with each ship. And if we have to record it and play it on Saturday, great. We'll find a way to get together and do it. But the main thing is I'd like it to be between 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 Eastern. Because that gives most of the other time zones the weekend day. Because 10 o'clock in the morning is going to be about 10 o'clock-ish the next day in Australia on Sunday. If I'm not mistaken, 10.
No, I think it works out to about 10 p.m.
Is it 10 p.m.?
Depending where you're going in Australia. I think it'll be between 9 and 11 p.m. that day if you do it at 10 a.m.
Okay, yes, they are 12 hours ahead. I thought they were 24. Okay, 12 hours.
Yeah.
12 to 14. So,
yeah. Well, that would be a thing. When we would do After Dark, Greg would be like 10 or 11 his time.
Yeah.
In the morning of Sunday.
So,
right. So that's your comparison.
Our goal is to get our international people involved. As you see, the Essex and possibly the next one, Clive from
The Mercia.
Mercia has been in contact. He's going to be talking to his XO.
Yeah.
Okay, right now in Melbourne, Australia, it is 12:32 p.m. tomorrow. Right now. So it's 14 to 15 hours ahead.
Okay. 14 to
Okay.
15.
Yeah.
That'll
It's
give me
15. Wait, it says 15 hours behind. No, I think it's 15 hours ahead. It's Saturday the 8th, so yeah, it's 15 hours ahead.
it's almost
Whatever.
it's half a day ahead, basically.
Mhm.
Let's face it. John's in 0.
Right.
Right? Like John is where the 0 is.
And I think I'm at the 7 mark. In Eastern is 7. But what I have been doing is anybody, if you tell me which time zone what I've been doing is I put in Eastern Daylight Time and I go GMT 0 and whatever other time I need to do, I'll add that in because we want to try and schedule it with your schedule plus ours. Unfortunately,
Hey, John.
4 o'clock on Saturday, I'm not available normally.
Is it 3:33 a.m. your time, John?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Just checking with my world clock.
We almost made it to 11, which is after dark time, which is 4 a.m. his time.
Yeah, I still remember that one with when Barry was on the one time from Ireland, and we technically yes, we were in the after show.
Yeah,
we were just chatting in the green room afterwards, but we watched the sun rise in Ireland.
Yeah.
Sounds very neat.
So, like I said,
point it out the window for us about 6 o'clock, John.
So, thank y'all for coming on. I would like to expand the guests, so please invite anybody you know. Let your ships know our page. I'm not broadcasting it to members only. I don't have access to that, and that's not what this show is. But we do have the goal of bringing everybody together. So, as you see, I do advertise for both the COE shows and ours at the same time because I put in a lot of content, and I would like to see a lot of other chapters put in that type of content because I like seeing what you're doing, and that's why we also show what we're doing. Tonight, Drew was not available to meet with us because he is at the World Equestrian Center in Florida for the Florida State Special Olympics, which their daughter, Tori, is competing in.
Oh, my.
So he will be getting me some pictures, and I plan on sending those to the news broadcast to post. So if you look at
Victoria, all the luck on that.
I'll let them know. If you see the little thumbnail picture, that's actually Drew with the guy that's in charge of that event.
Cool.
So I'm saying to take care of the pet fleet animals for the day. So I wish everybody a great weekend. If you are Christian or one of the religions that do Passover and Easter, Good Friday, and it's already into the time. At this time, Jesus would be buried in his tomb. He will rise again tomorrow night at sundown, which is in the Jewish faith, officially Sunday. So happy Easter for all the Christians, and for those that believe in the Jewish calendar, tomorrow night at sundown, remember, Jesus rose again that time.
He arose again.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, we don't make it really religious, but that is what this weekend is for 90% of the world. So,
that's a bit of an overstatement, but a lot of the world for sure.
well, the Crusades went through every part of the world on that side. So,
I'm a history major. I could argue that. I'm not, but I'm trying to let you sign off.
and then the Vikings came over here. So,
That was a crusade of no other in proportion.
they
Well,
were
good to be
definitely
here.
not saved. However, I did see something recently in an article, which I wish I had thought of earlier. The Native Americans actually have ancestry in the Asian cultures because of the land bridge.
Yes.
It was as if the Asian cultures came through, and when the separation happened, where it was a little bit too much, they stopped going across that land bridge, and then they developed. So South America, all the natives in South America and America have Asian roots. So I thought that was interesting because I do study the different cultures. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And part of the reason why they found out about that was they had similar medical problems. So they started researching the genetic backgrounds. Was the article I saw. I wish I remembered where I read that, but pretty cool little interesting fact.
I mean, that's talking Neolithic period of time too, right?
Yeah.
So just as that kind of aside of, please understand that that's all prehistoric time by significant degrees of millennia.
Now, there was the reference to the Babel Tower in the Bible where everybody's languages changed and they started separating, which was before the flood, according to the Bible.
Right.
So even in that,
Trying to sign off.
yeah, I got to go back to that.
just before you start going on another tangent, I'm like, you're trying to sign off, sir.
So history and science are two of my things, and I love looking at the different histories of the written history as well.
Okay.
So we'll have to have a discussion on that sometime. So have a good weekend, and make sure you take lots of pictures if you do some activities and send them up to the news network. From the Russell camp, I was Sean, Jeff. I don't remember which ship.
USS Blackhawk.
USS Blackhawk. Richard from the Chinook, and our loving vampire, John from the Essex. From around the world, live long and prosper.